Porn is like payday loans. It's like you get that £500 in your account today, but the amount you're going to pay over the period while it's telling you that no, everything's cool is going to be a madness.
I just dropped my app, www.ChisoLifts.com. Online personal training. You got custom meal plans, custom training plans. With the training plans, you got a video showing you how to do all your exercises. You could log in your sets, your reps, the weights you use, and literally every month I changed up your plan. In the description, you got a code BESTU20 at the moment. You can use that to get a 20% discount for life.
Okay, let me put it in a figurative sense. Let's say you go to a remote, poor part of the world. Let's say in Latin America, it's very poor, right? And every time you get there, you see that the people's shoes have started wearing out, toes are poking through, and so on. How do you address the fact that their shoes have worn out, right? You can have two options. You can say, all right, let me call my guys over in Europe and truck over more shoes. Or you can say, do you know what? Let's build a cobbler here so we can resell these shoes. I'm saying to you that every single approach we've taken so far with problematic marriages has been the let's ship them in from Europe. We've given people more and more tools to get out of things that are not working, but way less tools to actually make it work in the first place.
But is that a bad thing?
I'm saying that is a bad thing.
See,
I'm saying it's creating this disposable culture, and human beings don't like feeling disposable.
I don't mind. I'm first of all, I'm going to land and say I see nothing wrong with marriage. If a woman wants to get married to me, I'll marry her, no problem. But I'm not going to instigate it. So let me just make sure the fact that I've got nothing against marriage.
If a woman wants to get married to you, what?
I'm not instigating it.
Yeah, but you,
I'm not going to instigate it. I'll get married, but I'm not the one instigating the marriage.
Oh, okay.
You're not proposing.
No. Obviously, women do subtle
Are you going to
things
show up like a bad bee and stand in front of the petals on the floor and be like,
women do subtle things like they'll just put different marriage things on your screensaver on your laptop. You just open your laptop and you see like just marriage stuff. Or you go to bed and under the pillow you see a brochure.
That's sad.
Are you me a siren and the screen is just rolling? Marry me. Marry me, Gabriel. Marry me.
God forbid.
I have nothing against marriage, but one thing I will say is that we form attachments to things, and I think it's very important to form attachments to a certain point.
Yes.
But I don't think we should form such an attachment that we struggle to walk away from things when they're no longer serving you. And that's one thing. You mentioned the disposable culture. You're right, but I feel that people should be able to walk away from things when it's no longer serving the purpose that they're in. And you see happiness and peace of mind. Yeah. Sometimes walking away from a relationship is hard anyway, let alone marriage. Yeah. But I think being in marriage, you're right, it builds more of a commitment because of the vows you've made. And I think once again, it all depends whether you're religious or not, because you're making these vows to God.
Which is why I said what it's become now is not worth it. It's not worth a damn what it is now in terms of a very secular, legal sense. It's very much like people do it on TV shows. They just like get married at first sight and blah, 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 blah. And they do the Bachelorette and so on. There isn't the same approach that makes me value marriage anymore.
But marriage came before religion. But then again, you're going to think that way around. People will get married before religion.
Bro, it depends on what you're talking about when you say religion, but I genuinely believe that God ordained marriage from the beginning. So.
Which is fine, but I think from what we have in books, people were marrying. Whatever the context of whether you have this family, that family, I'm paying dowry, I'm paying this to take you, because that's definitely what it was. Obviously, now we've got the context of marriage where you go to the altar, but if you go to the primitive times, marriage was a case of where you had one family, it was all about ownership and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you with my daughter,
I mean, to be honest, even in the Bible, there's no wedding ceremony for Adam and Eve. They were made for each other, and that's just it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just sit there and
say they got arranged marriage.
Pretty much, yeah. I told you last time, I think we need to bring that back, man.
Arranged marriage?
Yeah. We need to bring that back.
Yeah?
Yeah, we need to
So
bring
you
that
want
back.
me by fire by force to just...
No, it's not that, but it's a case of you'd still have to make the choice for yourself, but I don't think that the decision should be in the hands of the regular people.
Hey, Gabriel.
No, hold on a second.
Wait.
Hold on a second.
This guy wants us to be doing jail lineup.
ID parade.
No, I'm saying to you that I genuinely believe that if we were smart and we were wise, for something so life-changing, we would involve our parents in the decision-making process. We would say, look, can you vet this person?
My mum's got no taste. My mum's got, but there's one time I went to the house. My mum,
the girls in the kitten.
My mum would tell me to come to the house for something.
Yeah,
she's done it twice. There'll be some girl sitting in the front room. Of course. And obviously, I assume my mum's a pastor. I assume maybe she's doing counseling or something.
Yeah.
So I'll come in now. I'll be like, oh, hi, mum, how you doing? I'll see the girl that looks like me. And I'm like, oh, how you doing? You're right. So then what will happen?
When you say that, a handsome babe.
Literally, he looks like me with long hair.
Oh,
So I'll be sitting there now, and then my mum will then go disappear. So I'll be in the front room. All of a sudden I'm like, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm just like, is this come some kind of setup? Like, so I'll be talking to her now, and the mum will come in the kitchen. She said, Gabriel, what do you think about? I'm like, don't do this, mum. like my mum's taste. And marriage should go further than looks. It should. But I need the engine to be warm when I see you. I don't have to jumpstart the engine when I see you. It needs to be.
Man wants to be there.
I wanted to
Wake up.
away.
Wake up. Plug in the thing, you know.
And that's why I wonder how detrimental pornography is.
It is.
To men and to women. And even the toys that women use.
100%.
I wonder how detrimental, because I remember one time I went to one girl's house. I'll never forget this day.
Yeah.
It was just about to do for me for you. Just about to do for me for you.
Wow.
So then she told me to go into the drawer
face
to go
it.
and pick up the raincoat. So I went to the drawer to collect the raincoat. And as I opened the drawer, I saw the biggest.
Yeah.
Wow.
I said, if you've been using this, what am I?
She had the chopper.
For one day in my life, I felt inadequate. I looked at the instrument. I said, I looked at the jackhammer.
Did it have that pull string on it?
When I say this instrument she had in her drawer, she had a collective of toys in her drawer. Of course.
Man said the dude was running off generator.
I said to myself, how detrimental is pornography and toys to our sex life? As someone who's married, would you say that?
You can't be watching porn.
I don't think there's anything wrong with
porn?
with toys in marriage.
Porn,
Yes.
Brother, you can't even be wanking.
What's wrong with pornography?
The thing that's wrong with pornography, and I'm not saying this to judge anyone because I am in the same boat as you. I've made it very clear in my stand-up and in videos. I've struggled with porn, right? But what I've learned about porn is it lies to you in terms of it tells you this is where you're going to find your ultimate pleasure, and it gives it to you in the short term and takes in the long term. So in the short term, you get the biggest rush of dopamine you've ever had in your life. You see something that's so mad, you're like, this is exactly what I want out of life. But in the long term, your ability to connect with somebody and truly enjoy it in real life, your ability to be satisfied with a real woman, or your ability to deal with the general sort of real implications of having sex with somebody are all affected. And so essentially the short-term pleasure never really matches up to how much you pay in the long term. Porn is like payday loans. It's like you get that £500 in your account today, but the amount you're going to pay over the period while it's telling you that no, everything's cool is going to be a madness.
And I like the fact you mentioned it. I think pornography for me growing up gave me unrealistic expectations of sex.
100%.
So from what I watched, there was something called Blue something. There was one Blue, how many was there? There was a tape.
Movies.
There was something, I can't remember what it was called, but I went to one of my white mates' house called Martin.
Yeah.
So he had it on these tape decks.
Yeah.
He plugged it in. And this is the first time I actually proper watched a porno.
Man was doing group assignment on the porno.
Obviously I'm taking notes, doing iOS press release. I'm taking notes.
The assignment.
And all I ever saw in porn was men hammering women.
Of course.
And them just going, like making the most noise ever. So when I first had sex, I thought that was what sex was about. For a long time I thought, even as some men, we think that hammering a woman.
Of course.
Now don't get me wrong, some women like to be sexed to sleep and they want that hammering, they want to feel it in their stomach and have cramps. But the realistic thing is that, like when you're just doing that, all you're doing is poking her, and sometimes we want our narcissistic ego makes us want to just, even the words we use for sex now, beat, smash, hit. Just look at the words we use for something which is meant to be.
I knocked her down.
Yeah, look at the words we use. None of these words are actually.
Pammed it.
They're not nice words. Man,
you
beat that. Yeah, man, hit still. Yeah, man, smash.
Right, have you ever heard a man say I smashed her back doors in?
It's very toxic and derogatory the way we've looked at sex, and I don't know how. I know some men. I'm mentioning any names. No, I won't mention any names. I know some men who they literally need porn. Like literally, there might be a girl in the house. They literally put on porn to get themselves aroused to be able to deal with this woman. And in the same way, when I did some research on sex toys, can you imagine when sex was actually invented? Why it came out, sex toys? If you research it, when the World War happened, that's when obviously a lot of the men were going out to go and fight and do these battles. So that was when the big surge of sex toys came up, because women wanted to pleasure themselves because their men was away. Now in 2021, I think it's good that women have their toys, because some women will say to me, it keeps my numbers down. So when they're feeling horny, okay, they just go into the drawer, they get the They get the and then they're fine. They knock one out. But I say, how detrimental are sex toys and pornography to us as human beings?
Bro, here's how it is, yeah. And I think every single one of these things we're dealing with starts with a very genuine, nothing wrong with it, absolutely fantastic desire. And then the way in which we satisfy those desires is where the problem is, right? I think, you know, if a woman is using a toy to keep her numbers down, you have to ask yourself also, apart from the risk of pregnancy, the reputational risk, and blah, 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 why do you want to keep your numbers down? One of the reasons why, and goes back to why I even value marriage, is because you are supposed to present yourself as a virgin so that when you do start having sex within marriage, you are not bringing a whole bunch of baggage and other experiences. And the more of that you bring, the less likely you are going to be satisfied with what you have here. So if you're constantly coming with toys, porn, sexual partners, the problem is that, and this has been shown statistically, this isn't just me with my Christian hat on now, statistically, promiscuous women's marriages last at less time than those who have kept themselves, because their ability to be satisfied.
I just out of curiosity, I disagree. Can you? Where did this stat come from? Just out of curiosity, where does this?
I'll
No.
It was a report I read on the
Okay,
internet.
so basically, women who have had less sexual partners,
yes,
last longer in marriage.
Yes, their marriages last longer, and they report higher sexual satisfaction.
I need a
now,
Harvard
obviously,
referencing.
women will go, well, how do you know what you like? Because blah blah blah. But the problem here is that you've gone to go and figure out what you like with a whole bunch of people that you're not going to commit to. So even if you figured out what you like here,
So basically,
the problem is
that
now
women don't know what good sex is, so they're just staying there.
No. But I'm saying they're figuring it out together.
I'm trying before I buy. There's no way I'm going to marry a woman, yeah? I'm sorry, because I can't talk for every situation.
Man of good taste.
I know women who have done the whole.
That's
the
exactly
right
what I was going to say.
They've done the right thing.
What if you get married, Gabriel? What if
And
you
the
get
brother can't get up.
Yeah, exactly. What if you get
He
married?
cannot get up.
Wait.
Bro, of course, everyone loves these mad stories.
What if you
everyone
get
loves
married?
it.
He can't get up, one, or two. The sex with her is dead.
But here's what
You
I'm
lot are
saying
just
to you.
gonna be vexed.
Here's
Man,
what I'm saying
sex
to you.
counselling.
First of all, you guys, whenever you're talking about waiting, you always talk about the worst case scenario. The truth is that for a lot of people, it works out great because they get a chance to learn together. But second of all, here's the thing, right? There are people who get together and get married because the sex is fantastic and they've tried before they buy and so on. 2 years in, it's no longer great. Now the whole thing is thrown into disarray because what they bought based on is not what they're receiving now. Everything falls apart in their heads. You go and have kids and it changes things. You know what I'm saying? The anatomy changes, the hormone levels change. You can't buy based on the fact that I've tried before I buy it, because that's going to make you even more frustrated in the future when you change or when things change between you. Now what I'm saying is, if you learn from the beginning the skills of, one, we are going to figure this out together. Two, I'm going to serve your needs, you're going to serve mine. And we're not going to come at this just like, as long as you're serving me, I'm happy and I'm here. And third of all, I'm going to love you beyond sex as well. I'm going to make sure that I have something that I care about more than sex, so that if, for example, you are unable to have sex, we can still function as a couple. Then those things are actually going to be way more beneficial than a girl who knows how to, hang off the chandelier in the first year, but year 3 she's telling you that she's got sciatica now.
All right. You're full, you know. You are a fool. You're not an empty fool. You are a fool. You are a fool. But you mentioned pornography and said that you maybe had, I wouldn't call it addiction, but you had you liked it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would say, what was the urge, or what was it that got you into it? Could it have been the fact that you wasn't having it, so therefore that was your? I'm assuming that when I'm gonna say men, when men watch porn, I'm assuming they're probably going to masturbate while watching it.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a way of getting aroused to be able to do that. And then once again, people don't understand how the brain works with neural pathways, where this now becomes your channel
100%.
of how you now arouse yourself
Yeah.
and get turned on. Don't get me wrong, there are probably other ways of coming out of it. Like, Chiz, have you ever been into porn where at one point you watched it once a week?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you say was the main motive for that?
To bust a nut.
As in literally
Literally to bust a nut.
But is that because now?
No,
is that because there wasn't a woman around for you to do that with? Because I've never, like, when I tell people I've never masturbated, they don't believe me. I've never ever. People don't believe me.
Yeah, he always says that.
I've never.
Yeah,
I've never. Even people don't believe me.
Because the reason why, because he's toxic. He's been using girls to masturbate.
Brother, you're using girls to
What is this?
masturbate.
It's
No, but-
true.
no, no, I
You're
think-
using
no.
girls as
You've
sleeves,
been using
bro.
girls to
No, what is
masturbate.
this?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no.
Yes, yes,
No,
yes, yes.
no,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah,
listen,
toxic.
no.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
only-
yeah, yeah.
listen.
Yeah. No,
I only-
don't explain
you
yourself.
haven't let me
Hey,
land.
Gabriel's always got an excuse
No,
for
but Ivan,
something.
let me land.
He's always got an excuse.
Land.
Find an
I only
excuse.
masturbate in group discussions. Like I've never ever.
This guy.
And you say, I'm talking Shakespeare. What's that?
But on the real though, I've never.
Only
and that's why-
masturbate in group discussions.
And that's why, for instance, I've never watched. I've
Politician.
never like been stuck on porn because first of all, the storylines are crap. There's always one plumber coming to drain the pipes.
Of course,
Of some woman.
Man said Nollywood
I'm
lines.
and I'm gonna assume that because you're obviously trying to masturbate while watching porn, I guess that's where I think the detrimental part kicks in, especially with toys of women. When you're getting off with this big rabbit or this thing, it gets to a point, in my opinion, psychologically, where this is what gets you off.
Yes.
And it no longer happens from
Disappointment after you busted up.
I don't know. And
No, but neuroplasticity is a real thing, right? Your brain is very malleable, and if you train it, it will go towards this thing. Dopamine, the dopamine rush you get from watching porn, masturbating, whatever it is, right? It's supposed to be a reward hormone. It's supposed to reward you for doing something that and says, go and do this again. So you go and like take on a hard challenge, you win. Your body releases dopamine, so you say next time you meet a hard challenge, do it again. What we've done is we've lowered the bar at which you can get dopamine lower and lower. So we've added, drugs, porn, whatever it is, like even gaming to a certain extent. And we give people, we've given ourselves so much dopamine that when it's now time, our dopamine receptors are so overstimulated that we're not happy with just like a beautiful day or like a nice breeze or a love, or even just seeing your wife. You're not happy with her anymore. Now you're like, why don't you look like this? Because I've taken in so much of this. Now I'm no longer sensitive to this. And I'm saying to you that whilst people go, well, fine, like I'm going for the best. Like I want to live the truth is it's making a lot of us miserable because essentially what we're finding out is we're all not good enough. We're all not, no matter how much you think you're laying it down, she thinks she's great in bed, she's got the wet or whatever it is. The truth is we all need grace more than we need to be amazing. We all need somebody who's going to work with us, who's going to commit to us and say, do you know what? On this day, you didn't really lay it down. You weren't really putting in, the Wesley Pipes.
Hold me. She's going to tell me this.
The
Hold me.
Wesley Pipes.
This guy thinks every day is
She might
superb.
not say that out loud, but she's gonna be like, do you know what? I'm way more committed to you than I am to the Wesley Pipes.
Obviously, we don't always perform.
To the
My
Wesley
mom
Pipes.
always says to me, "You're only as great as your last."
How do you know about Wesley
My mom
Pipes?
says to me, "You're only
I
as
say
great
that.
as your last performance." And this is it's in reality in life.
Yeah.
You can do
I say that in
99
stand-up.
great things for somebody.
Yeah.
That one day you misperformed is the thing that will stick into their boro head.
Of course.
And that's the biggest problem that I find with this whole situation we're talking about is that.
Yeah. But that's the
Would
point
you-
when
would
they
you-
go, it's no longer serving me, so I'm going to go elsewhere.
Funny
That's
thing
why
is
you
when
have
it
to
comes
always
to
finish
sex,
on a
though,
high.
you find that women always complain about a lack of satisfaction when it comes to sex and with our interaction with them.
Yeah.
And I've seen situations where women have told me that a man shouldn't be offended if they pick up a toy afterwards. So let's say, for instance, let's say you had intercourse with a woman, and all of a sudden,
I'm a virgin, bro.
and all of a sudden you hear bzz, bzz, you wake up and you hear bzz, you're like, well, what's going on? She's just there, bzz, away.
That's happened to you, innit?
No, never.
Lies.
But would you take offense to that?
Do your thing.
See, once again,
the
male ego,
it's not about offense.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
the male ego.
Everything you do in sex, I genuinely believe, is because you're yearning for intimacy with somebody. So if a married couple use a toy together, then yes, there's no problem with that because
but if it's
an
by
experience
herself, there's a
together.
problem.
But if she goes and does it by herself, there is an implied element which is like, I need to go and finish off the job you didn't finish off, and so therefore that's why that.
But is anything wrong with that?
I'm
Funny thing, we don't all.
I'm
Women
saying-
lie in section though, they be making noise, and there's nothing happening,
Because, do you know what it is?
just to satisfy the male ego.
Most of them have never experienced what it is to have a man who say, I'm committed, I'm going to work through this with you.
Everything never had.
Hold
Hold on, man, man.
Look, it's because you don't want to do it. Because you just want to beat and move. That's the problem. That's the problem. No. Think about it.
It's getting your head reading like handlebars, part and parcel of marriage.
Might be, yeah, if that's what your wife needs.
But what I don't get is this.
Gabriel,
what you're saying now is this.
Gabriel,
so you're saying ultimately,
Gabriel, that's what your wife's going to need.
The commitment makes
what
the
is it?
sex
Like, how many, what's the percentage? It's like less than 50% of
Marvin,
women
don't eat pussy.
even orgasm from vaginal penetration alone, right? So even just for us to know this and to say, all right, well, I'm more committed to your pleasure because I want you to enjoy this experience, and I'm committed to it over a long period, so I'm willing to learn and improve as time goes along. It's something most women haven't. Of course there's going to be an orgasm gap because women are going to require a lot more of somebody taking the time to learn their body. Now they might hit the lottery and some guy comes and lends it out, and there's all kinds of psychological aspects as well, what he has, and if they're having sex in the penthouse overlooking the city, maybe that might help bust the nut or whatever it is. But what I'm saying is ultimately it's not helping them build intimacy. And so that's why, of course, there's going to be an element to which you do need to learn these things, man. You need to learn with a woman.
No, I don't disagree with that, but you're almost painting a picture and the scene that when a woman's not being satisfied and pleasured, it's because of this lack of commitment.
No, I'm saying that the reason she's maybe not improving or getting closer to there is because she hasn't got anyone to commit to her who's willing to learn with her.
Because there's plenty of married women that's going to watch us now and be like, well, my husband doesn't.
Well, I would say,
and some women.
I would say for those women, if you're in that situation,
cheat on your man, girl.
Look,
that's how you get a hit.
80% of men genuinely prioritize their wife's pleasure above themselves.
80.
Married men. 80% of them actually prefer to see their
wife.
I hope you enjoyed these episodes. Back and forth with Gabriel and Ola. We're gonna try and get Ola more often on the channel, especially on the marriage side of things, because that's the guy in it. Like when it comes to marriage and religion, he's got that content for you lot. It's less of me, that's why you see me kind of. See you next time.